If you try jumping in and malfunctioning falling elevator at the very second it smashes into the ground, you still dead. The first mistake is to look for food and water first before having a shelter up to keep yourself dry and warm. Edit. When I say shelter first it includes having a fire too, which I forgot to mention. When you are wet and exposed to the elements your core body temperature can drop and you can get hypothermia if it gets too cold and you would burn more calories than necessary. A big reason to building a shelter too is to also keep yourself off the ground, because the ground is an infinite heat sink, which means you lose your body heat way faster than you would think and will be more exposed to the cold elements. Guys, yes, it's good to be near a water source, but remember that it's always colder around rivers, streams, lakes, and oceans. Make sure you are able to easily gather shelter, fire material within the area, plus finding a prime location to set up shelter. I feel like a book. RN. Thanks for the silver. If you have to forage for food, avoid mushrooms entirely. Odds are so slim you will find an edible kind that you're much better off looking for things like nuts, seeds, and berries. Edit. This is not the myth. This is the truth. If you ever find yourself in snake country, make as much noise as possible. Most people want to avoid snakes, so stay quiet, but they are more scared of you than you are of them as you talk loudly. Stomp, but obviously keep an eye and ear out for any fellas who don't want you to be there. Source: Australian. TL. Doctor, if done right a tourniquet should hurt like a mother fluffer, and you're going to want to loosen it, but in the words of Egan Spangler, it would be bad. Gradually loosening an applied tourniquet over time is a thing I still see in first aid training videos for some reason. Don't do that. Once a tourniquet is on, remember and mark the person if you can, what time it was applied, and leave the rest to doctors in a stable environment. Loosening a tourniquet may result in blood loss returning, which requires retightening it. Tightening, loosening repeatedly may cause, on top of additional blood loss, blood to pool up inside the limb, which can cause even more damage. Edit. It's going to take over 2 hours for muscle, nerve damage to start occurring and about 6 until everything is dead and needing an amputation. Many folks have said that recent advances have prolonged that time. I can't find a source to validate that, but it seems believable. Would like one if anybody has one, as TQ use has heavily increased in the military and civilian world the past 15 years thanks to the cats, so I'm guessing surgeons have worked with them more. This much more recent study cites that most amputations are due to the injuries sustained, not tourniquet use. Greater than a multi-center study demonstrated 88% effectiveness in pre-hospital tourniquet application with significantly lower mortality and amputation rates than in American military experience. Craig et al.'s military cohort had a 35% amputation rate, with several civilian series having a frequency of 17% to 29% greater than. We theorized that injury severity was critical in the decision to amputate than the presence of a tourniquet. A significant number of the initial amputations had mangled, nearly amputated arms or legs from high-speed motorcycle or all-terrain vehicle crash. Despite the higher rate of initial amputation, there was no increase in morbidity, mortality, or length of stay in TQ plus patients. https saco.bmj.com/content/4/1/E0002667. Old source. Edit. Greater than continuous application for longer than 2H can result in permanent nerve injury, muscle injury, including contractures, rhabdomyolysis and compartment syndrome, vascular injury and skin necrosis. 8 Muscle damage is nearly complete by 6 hours, with likely required amputation. Numerous studies have been performed to determine the maximum duration of tourniquet use before complications. The general conclusion is that a tourniquet can be left in place for 2H with little risk of permanent ischemic injury, greater than a policy of periodic loosening of a tourniquet in an attempt to reduce limb ischemia has often led to incremental exsanguination and death. 12 https://www.ncb.nl/pmc/articles/pmc 2660095/ Not quite as sexy and interesting as the rest of these. But if you're walking alone at night, putting a key between each finger, with the thought that you can punch someone and they'll be impaled by 3 keys, is useless. You're much more likely to hurt the webbing on your fingers since the grip you have on each key will be really weak. Instead, put a single key between your thumb and forefinger, parallel to your thumb, and make a fist. This still isn't a great defense, but it is an improvement over simply a fist. Also, don't try to kick a man in the crotch unless you have an amazing shot, in which case, you're probably better off running anyway. If you miss or don't kick hard enough, both of which are more likely of the case when you're likely panicking, you're just going to cause mild discomfort and piss him off even more. Wear a seatbelt. There's myths about it being bad if you go into a lake or there's a fire. But 1, that is an incredibly tiny proportion of car crashes, and 2, if you're in that situation, you're far more likely to be knocked out and die of inaction if you're not wearing a seatbelt. I know this is a mundane tip, but you're far more likely to be in a life-threatening car crash than be stabbed or be in a falling elevator. Wear a seatbelt. Rescue breaths are wildly overrated in most movies and TV shows. You'll see someone in cardiac arrest, and the rescuer will stop giving compressions and focus on breathing into a person's mouth in blammo, awake, alert, alive. Nope, don't do that. Your body does store a fairly decent amount of oxygen in its blood at all times. If someone in front of you ODs and their mouth is covered with saliva, vomit, or someone collapses in front of you have a suspected cardiac arrest, your plan of action is twofold. 1. Are they breathing? Do they have a pulse? This is easy to fluff up, especially in a moment of panic. My rule, as an EMS provider, is that if you don't feel it in 10 seconds, it's not there. Start compressions. If they are not in cardiac arrest, they will let your butt know, and the law covers you under Good Samaritan clauses in most of these cases. 2. If you are the only person attending to this body, do not stop and give rescue breaths if help is on the way and will be there soon. It takes about 4 to 7 decent compressions to get blood recirculating in the body after stopping to give mouth to mouth. That's a lot of blood, carrying a lot of vital oxygen reserves that aren't making it to the brain. Obviously, if you're a long way out from help, and you feel safe to do so, give rescue breaths, but it should never be priority number 1. And #X200B. By the way, if you hear ribs crack, make a face. Make vomit noise as if you have to. Tell the person their bones are fluffing, grossing you out. But don't stop compressions. Because what are compressions? That's right, they are number fluffing. 1. Herbivorous animals are friendly and peaceful, so you are safe being around them, and their presence will show you where food is. Seriously, everything from cows to deer can and will kill you if you make it angry. It is usually a good idea if you are in the wilds not to get near any large wild animal. But herbivores can often be even more aggressive than the predators. If you get stabbed with anything, don't pull it out, since it could be the thing that's preventing you from bleeding out. Instead, immobilize it and go to the hospital where they can stop the bleeding when they remove the object. It won't kill you, but don't pee on a jellyfish sting. It will actually release more of the toxin. You can hydrate from soda. If that's all you have, drink it. Don't eat snow to stay hydrated if you're in a winter survival situation. Losing the heat to the snow while eating it is more dangerous than dehydration. Heat it up or let it melt in a container first to lose less heat. You do not need to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. If you think someone is missing, report it as such. The faster a missing person report is filed, the greater the chance the person will be found. Follow flying birds to find water. They can simply be flying to spend a night anywhere, so we can't rely on them. Cotton wicks moisture. Cotton is probably the worst material to wear in an outdoor survival situation because it holds moisture and in doing so loses its ability to keep you warm. As you're sticking your finger up a dog's bum. As you've read this a few times. Not a good idea. Best way to deal with a dog attack is to try to move away slowly, sideways with your arms at your sides so that you're not threatening. Don't look at the eyes and don't smile. Both are seen as a challenge. Don't run away. The dog will instinctively chase you. Get up high if you can. Dogs can't climb very well. If garbage hits the fan, do the opposite of looking unthreatening. Stand tall with your arms in the air and growl or roar. If there's something nearby, throw it at the dog to make it think twice. Wrap clothing around your arm to hand to the dog should it go in for a bite. You're pretty much guaranteed to be bit, so make it in a place that is less important and less likely to bleed out. Don't lose your footing or fall to the ground. You'll be toast. Don't pull away from the dog if it has bitten you. This will cause more damage. Once the dog has bitten you, it probably won't let go. Aim to kill or maim the dog. Fingers in the eyes are good. Jumping on the dog with all your body weight is better. If you break their ribs, they will probably give up. Staying away from aggressive dogs is your best bet. A lot of Southeast Asians believe going from heat to air con, jumping in a swimming pool on a hot day, or even fans will kill you. So many deaths happen every year because people are afraid of being shocked to death from going from hot to cold too quickly. Punch a shark in the nose. Drinking alcohol to stay warm. As you sweat, your blood will rush to your skin and you will freeze, die much faster. Edit. People seem curious about this. Here's a good link. https www.drinkaware.co.uk/advice/staying-safe-well-drinking/alcohol-and-cold-weather/edit 2 suggested by another Reddit piece. u2.be/ia-04jkc edit 3 actual mythbusters link provided by another Redditor. https www.youtube.com/watch v=yjzglkanu. One myth I have heard was that moss only grows on the north side of trees. This of course is false. That you can eat what animals eat. Not true. Animals have different digestion systems that aren't the same as a human's. Sucking a snake bite, it will often make it worse. Removing a bullet is more dangerous than leaving it in. Trying to remove it can tear vital organs. It can be pushed in even deeper. Or removing it can cause the person to bleed out. Curing an eye infection with your urine is dangerous. Let me repeat that. Do not under any circumstances put your urine in your eyes. Head to the doctor. Even waiting it out is better. One I know of is the myth that you can drink water from a cactus. I heard it's false and you can only drink from a small minority of cacti without having certain health consequences I am not aware of. It's not advised to wring out animal garbage and drink the fluid. Just drink the water that the camera crew has with them instead. Greater than the more, you know. Removed. If you input your PIN number backwards in an ATM, it will withdraw money, but it will be stuck, and the police will be notified in the event of a robbery. It's completely false and you could get killed or seriously hurt if you play dumb like you don't know your PIN. One thing you see a lot in older movies and even today is to conserve your water if you're in the desert, or if you lack water. Never do that. If all you do is drink enough to stop being thirsty, the water won't reach necessary organs and parts of your body. Over time you'll be underhydrated and can suffer the effects of dehydration without ever feeling thirsty. The best usage of your water is to drink at a set interval even if you're not thirsty. Also, don't drink large amounts of water all at once. your body won't be used to it, and more of it is going to be wasted via urination than if you space out reasonably sized swigs throughout the day. In the same vein, if you are ever hiking, working, or going to be outside in hot and dry climates, leave the shorts and tank top at home, and instead go for thin and loose-fitting long-sleeve shirts and loose-fitting pants. The biggest threat to your health is the sun. Avoid direct sun exposure whenever possible. Sunblock is solid enough for shorter trips, but you're going to be sweating off even the best of the stuff, so be sure to constantly reapply when directed to, or if your skin gets too wet. Loose-fitted clothing also helps slow down how fast your sweat will evaporate into the air. Normally you want to have sweat evaporate, as that is how your body will lose the excess heat, as the sweat will draw heat away from your body and cool you down when wind hits you. But in this case, you're losing sweat too fast for your body to transfer much if any heat, as the sun is hot enough to evaporate your sweat as soon as you start sweating. Limiting your evaporation also stops you from wasting a ton of water via constantly sweating, which is one of the biggest factors of water loss you should avoid. Edit: rewriting the entire thing for clarity. First time ever posting, and it's a shock how well this has done. If you are wondering where my information comes from, I am local to one of the driest states and have heard this advice from avid hikers, construction workers, hunters, and from a coach of mine when he was doing training in the desert. Not quite a survival myth, but interesting nonetheless. Paradoxical undressing. It is when you are hypothermic but still remove your clothes. Explains why dead people are sometimes found naked out in snowy ranges. It is usually during the final stages of hypothermia, and the theory is that your blood vessels give up on constricting blood flow to your skin periphery, so you suddenly feel super warm and remove all your clothes, which in turn causes you to die quicker. Trying to outrun a tornado is about the worst possible thing you can do in a tornado situation. Take shelter, get underground, go into an interior room, lay in a ditch while covering your head if you have to. Tornadoes are basically like 3-year-olds throwing temper tantrums, except instead of toys it's cars, buses and trains they're throwing around. But also toys too, which they can throw hard enough to literally pass through your body. A vehicle of any kind is about the last place you want it to be when a tornado comes through. Edit. And sure enough, I've got people telling me that, nah, you totally can outrun a tornado because storm chasers do it all the time and tornadoes only move like 30 mph, which is objectively false. Their top speed is more like 70 mph. But don't listen to a random Redditor like me. Here's what the CDC has to say about it. https:/www.cdc.gov/features/tornado-safety/index.html. If you are in a car, do not try to outrun a tornado, but instead find the nearest sturdy building. And the NOAA has this to say. https:/www.spc.noaa.gov/fact/tornado/safety.html. Vehicles are extremely risky in a tornado. There is no safe option when caught in a tornado in a car. Just slightly less dangerous ones. If the tornado is visible, far away, and the traffic is light, you may be able to drive out of its path by moving at right angles to the tornado. Seek shelter in a sturdy building, or underground if possible. I hope discerning Redditors will work out that what they're advising is not to try to outrun a tornado, but that you don't need to get out of your vehicle if you are very far away from one. And the National Weather Service. https://www.weather.gov/safety/tornado-during. Being in a vehicle during a tornado is not safe. The best course of action is to drive to the closest shelter. If you are unable to make it to a safe shelter, either get down in your car and cover your head, or abandon your car and seek shelter in a low-lying area such as a ditch or ravine. So, in short, never try to outrun a tornado, and anyone who ever tells you otherwise is objectively wrong and spreading dangerous misinformation. End of discussion. Don't put severed parts on ice. It'll practically give the dead tissue frostbite, thus making it near impossible to reattach.